Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack, and we also have
Alvin Ellis, ready to rock.
now there's on the San Diego Comic-Con is actually going on online. There's many things going on. We're going to try to report on a few of those things that's going on there. You can see it on Comic-Con International on YouTube. We'll have a link below. But one of the things that they're talking about doing is, well, they did, Sci-Fi Wire did, is another documentary on Todd McFarlane, because they have a couple things on Todd on their site. And do you want to just tell me, give me your first impressions of Todd, in general, just quickly.
Todd McFarlane online?
Just in general. And because we're going to get to the film, because he has a film that's coming out, which is called, what the hell? I can't remember what it's called. We'll see it in a second. But what are your thoughts on Todd?
I know, it's something like Being Todd McFarlane, some title like that. I've had the pleasure of meeting Todd McFarlane on 5 different occasions. Mm-hmm. Todd McFarlane, for me, I mean, he's like a strip. I don't mean this to sound insulting either. He's like a stripped down suit. He's like a stripped down suit. He's not wearing the suit, okay? But he's very, very professional. This is the guy who shakes your hand, looks you in the eye, okay? He always comes across as somebody who's, well-mannered, very even, wants to make certain that you feel respected in the moment that you're dealing with them. And Todd McFarlane will do this if you're the first guy in line or the last guy in line. He's exceptionally disciplined in terms of his interaction with people. And I think that also translates into his work ethic and what we've seen with him over the years. And what he was like when he was doing Spider-Man and he was on on those covers with the cap and the curly hair, the new kid, that type of stuff. And he's doing interviews with Stan Lee. But in the interactions I've had with him, it just comes across like, again, he comes across like maybe a little bit more genuine than average. But, I really mean that in a complimentary way. Very earnest guy, very respectful.
So for me, I haven't met him, but I think I actually met him as an artist when he was doing Batman and then the Hulk. And then he did the one issue of G.I. Joe, which I was collecting at the time. And then this thing really started to build on the Hulk. The next thing you know, he was on Spider-Man. It was almost like a no-brainer. And then somehow at the same time, I was catching the wave. The entire industry caught the wave. Obviously, there's Image after that. Obviously, he made a ton of amazing toys, which I think I can, I have one of his new sets. He got a whole new sets of DC toys now. Regretfully, they're going to be the metal toys. But, he's got some other things that I saw that might look decent. But hey, he's a talent, and I thought he was going to be one of those guys like Kirby or Byrne that was going to be dying on the board drawing comics, but he's going to be on the board inking and sculpting and making money. He's going to make sure he makes money. So let's just look at this trailer, and hopefully I got everything set up.
Roll press.
Rolling.
There is no shortcut to get to 300 issues of a comic book.
Love it, like it, love it, whatever it is. You have to have respect for the journey that he's taken.
Todd's visionary. That guy literally came from nowhere. I didn't know when I bought my first comic at 16 of this one. I got 300 rejection letters.
Todd started out as someone who was rising up through the ranks that wasn't embraced by the people running Marvel at the time.
Every time I try to do something, they went, you can't. You can't. So we can't do panels that overlap. I can't have appendages come out. I said, break the rules and make it look cool.
They wanted Spider-Man to shine. They didn't want Todd to shine.
Have just become moments where I just go, if nobody's going to do it for me, I'll do it myself.
Oh yeah, I got this character, he's dead, he's from hell, and I'm calling him Spawn. It was completely unique. It was a game changer.
So 1.7 million copies
Todd did for toys what he did for comics. He did it all on his phone. It's not great.
Success for the most part comes with a target.
You can't be in the public eye as Todd is and not have people try to take you down.
He nearly lost everything, except I'm not going to get pushed around. I'm gonna fight back.
That's how Tom lives his life. What is the status quo?
I don't care.
This is where it's gonna go.
I am relentless. I'm like a dog with a bone. I start corporations out of anger.
Everything that he's done, it's always pushing boundaries. It's always pushing boundaries.
Have I seen the view of the Every Cliff? On more than one occasion.
Never give up. Never take no for an answer.
They're going to always try and say, it's not possible, don't do it. Don't listen to them.
Todd had no fear. Ever.
It's the what's that? He's the John McClane of comic books.
Oh man. I won't say that trailer was self-serving, but that trailer was self-serving.
I have watched some of it. I haven't finished it yet. It's a. I don't think there's anything that much different in any of the other ones, but you get more Todd, and I think. Oh, also watching on the Comic-Con, there's also a thing with some of his peers, which is J. Scott Campbell and Mark Silvestri, and they kind of take shots at him, which is good because that's where comic pros are at each other. They used, if you listen to Stan Lee, Sal Buscema, Tom DeFalco, and Ron Friends all in the same room, all they do is be self-effacing, they're self-depreciating to themselves and each other. So that's almost the fun in this. But you don't get to see that in this one. He's all hero in this documentary. But if you watch there's a longer piece on Comic-Con International. And I don't think anything I will also add is that I think when Todd talks about them saying no, they weren't just saying no to Todd or Eric Larson or all these image guys. They said no to everybody.
Yeah.
There's so many during that period post-shooter where you have Byrne exiting like 3 books. You have Steve Englehart exiting like 2 in the possible 3 because he was supposed to take Daredevil and take him to LA. They killed that. Like they killed, and not to say everything's gonna work, but you see Roger Stern fired. You had Walter Simonson leaving the Avengers, like after 9 issues when he was doing something under editorial edit. And these aren't necessarily young guys, but at the same time, Marvel had gotten very strict in protecting the characters. More so, at least Shooter would let the books come out and tell them next time, don't do that. And Todd McFarlane did something that no one else would do, is that he said, okay, and he just did what he wanted to do. And they didn't art correct it because the book was selling. So obviously someone saw, like John Romita redoing a Todd McFarlane piece, you'd know what it was, but everyone was getting in at that period, which ultimately led to Image. So that's the only thing I add, that whenever they talk about it, that these guys were rebels, breaking all these rules, and no, a lot of people come under fire during that period. So. What do you say? You have more to say about that trailer. I won't press you. You're gonna let him hit his roses, aren't you?
Oh man, that is oh man, that's
He's struggling.
I can't. I don't want to call it a vanity piece. I don't want to call it a vanity piece at the end of the day. But what you said right over there, like after Walter, come on. I mean, there's a whole. Jack Kirby went through that. Jack Kirby was trying to do Superman, and he was doing stuff, and then DC was like, no, you can't do that. And he got to the point where look, you can draw the body, and we're gonna have somebody come in and do the face because we don't like your faces. So Todd McFarlane is not unique in that, and to try to portray Todd McFarlane as I was the one who, they told me no, and I said, no, I'm gonna do it my way, and look at, this type of stuff now. He wasn't the only person who they told no. And to be quite honest, he wasn't the only person who decided, well, look, I'll try to do things my own way. Wally Wood did that with Power Girl. That's why she's got the big jugs now, because he wanted to see what Wally Wood was like, is anybody paying attention to what I'm doing on this book? And he says, look, let me just keep drawing the breasts bigger each issue until it finally says something. It took like 8 or 9 issues before they said, hey, what's going on? What's going on at this point? It's not a unique thing for Todd McFarlane. However, that being said, okay, the biggest thing that I can give to Todd McFarlane in that is that he wanted to do these things, and not only was he right about his approach, but the response he had that was off the charts. In that, up in Spider-Man, John Romita's Spider-Man had become so classic, okay? Had become so classic in terms of the outfit and in terms of Peter Parker and how people were portrayed. With like Mary Jane had like that same hairstyle, flat hairstyle for years at the end of the day. And McFarlane comes on Spider-Man, and it's like Ditko on steroids to a very large extent, where it's more creepy. It's more crawly. The webs, and if anything, I didn't think it was. You might not have even thought it was possible. Making the girls more attractive, making the artwork, making the visuals stand out, and just really explain towards the reader, that much more. And what a lot of people have to remember is he was on the book for less than 30 issues. His run wasn't even, I don't think his run was a full 3 years at the end of the day. Yeah, he did go on to do Spider-Man, that new series that they had for him, but on Amazing, which I think is the better work of the two. He wasn't on that, was it 298 to what?
325, and then they one extra one. Then they had them filling in there, and then they had one extra on 328, the one with the Hulk.
I don't think he quite made 3 years. Let me say 3 years.
Well, they also did it bi-monthly. So in 2 summers he was stuck with doing it bi-monthly. So they fit a lot of it, even though it looks like, hey, it's like almost 30 issues, but at the same time they did it 2 issues a month in the summer. And so that's why there's a lot more than what it's probably 2 years, but then you look at how many they pumped into they say, hey, it's hot, let's make it bi-monthly, just like the X-Men. So
yeah. So, but again, short period of time, and just the response to it, that even people who came after him was still somewhat stuck in that style he was doing through Amazing Spider-Man 400, because that's definitely how Eric Larson got on, and Bagley continued it up to an extent, even though Bagley's style was definitely his own, and his style actually became very well liked as well, because he was able to translate that into work outside of Spider-Man, even all the way over to DC Comics with the Trinity series. But he had a really good idea for it, knew it would work, and went for it, and it really paid off some large dividends for it. The rest, it's almost like I guess everybody loves that underdog story, and the guy works his way up, and I made it to the mountaintop, that type of stuff. But it's hard not to snicker at some of it. It's hard not to snicker at some of it, but you can't take me away from Todd McFarlane at the end of the day. Top-notch artist who went into business, had a good mind for it, is still knocking stuff out of the park, and has the longest running independent comic in comic book history. So there's only so much. I can chuckle at a whole bunch of stuff like, yeah, okay, come on, but at the end of the day, the story's going to speak louder than anything I chuckle.
Well, I'm just gonna add, because one of the things that the success of Todd McFarlane isn't because I think that's what one of the J. Scott Campbell saying, like he was joking about the stuff Todd added. And if you think about it, the start of Todd's Spider-Man is Michael Golden's Spider-Man in Marvel Fanfare. The spaghetti webs are there, some of the poses are there, but it's like he did 2 issues and he did one other Marvel Fanfare with Spider-Man. That's as much as Michael Golden did 3 issues of Spider-Man with the spaghetti webbing, not used anywhere else, right? Then you have Art Adams, who did 2 issues with Spider-Man, a Spider-Man Web of Spider-Man annual and a long shot issue where Spider-Man showed up. Spaghetti webbing show up, the positions and whatnot, like that sort of spider poses, that's in there. But Todd, even though you don't look at them, and I think Art Adams, one of these books, he kind of jokes about Todd kind of borrowing his style. I think in one of these things he says, I have it there. I guess it's in this one. They say in here, Art Adams says, that's how Todd got his start. Yeah, how to draw comics the Art Adams way. And at the end, they say basically you don't have to do anything. You just buy these models, and then you're going to make a whole lot of money. And then at the bottom it says, that's how Todd got his start. So him and was it Steve Moncouse, the Fresh Police guy, they just did a gag on how Todd got famous. So that's one thing that's forget. But even his Batman, that long cape, it was like took it much further than Marshall Rogers, but you can see one image that he was very much inspired by. And many artists are inspired by it like that. But even the panels, they talk about him doing panels over panel, that sort of thing. That's something I think Neil Adams has used. I mean, there's something that was in comics, but not always used. So it's like, but the success of putting all those pieces and saying, I'm doing that monthly and having it catch on, that's the important part. Not trying to give him, say he created Venom. The costume, having a muscle-bound black costume with a smile is not necessarily creating it. But at the same time, all of the energy, all of that part that makes the success, same like Wolverine, is what Todd McFarlane is. Everything at once and giving it to you monthly. And the fans have been with him since then. And you gotta give it to him. He put the time in, the Hulk, all those things. So even though I wish he would draw more, and because even first coming on, his peers, they were seeing things in his art. I think even though him and Byrne are, have been on opposite sides, when he first got in there and Byrne saw his work, you could see Byrne being a little inspired and said, hey, he said, I really like his work. He has a great design sense, that sort of thing. No holding back. Then later on when it came in images, like saying, hey, when this guy learns how to do anatomy, he's going to blow us out of the water. And Todd was more like, no, we got to stay right where we're famous. Right at that moment we're famous, we just got to stay there. Where you have Perez, Byrne, a lot of Frank Miller, all these guys try to add so much to their style. But Todd is, you got to give it to him. In the toy thing, smartest person in the world to see that there's a lane there that he could just mow through. So I said a lot because I was very, very much a fan of his Spider-Man stuff. So that's all I got. Check it out. We're going to have the link to that movie up there too. So
yep. Check it out. We definitely will. Oh, if anybody wants to see some where he got the inspiration for some of those capes, please check out Batman 374. That cover inspired a whole bunch of people in terms of how they were going to render the cape and the shadowing with Batman.
All right, spin a rack.
Out.
Later.